Star Wars is one of those movies or sequels or universes that just everybody knows. But I wanted to kind of take a moment on May the 4th to kind of look back at and say, here's what it's meant to me over the years. And I'm old enough that I actually saw episode four when it was in the theater the first time. I was a kid, begged my dad to go take me to it. And one of the interesting things about this whole universe to me is that I walked out of that movie and I was a little kid. I was born in the early 70s, so I was not very old at all when I went to go see it. It was one of the first, maybe the second movie I ever saw in the theater. It and Buck Rogers were early on. And if the first two I really remember anyway. And it to me it was interesting because I have a sister who's 4 years older, and my older sister wanted to go see it as well. And my mother and father used to tell this story about how dad was going to take me, but not take my sister because he felt my sister couldn't handle it, but he thought I could. And if you know your kids, if you have kids, some kids can handle things other kids can't. And my older sister, who's 4 years older than me, is a much different person than I am. She walked out of it having nightmares because there's Wookiees that get their arms cut off, there's laser cannons, there's all kinds of stuff in it, and for a kid that could be a little scary. I walked out of it with a bunch of questions, right? I walked out with like, how do lightsabers work? How do spaceships work? How do laser cannons work? How do we build a Death Star? Right? That'd be cool to build this thing in space. That not the planet destroying part, but this thing that can actually transport people around in space. And those questions never stop. And I remember when I decided to major in physics and ultimately got my PhD, my dad at the graduation party told that story about Star Wars that I'd kind of completely forgotten. And he's like, yeah, he started asking questions and just kind of never quit. And now he was kind of happy because at that point he's like, you don't have to ask me anymore. You can go ask somebody else or figure the shit out himself because I'm just like I'm not going to keep trying to figure out how to answer that crap. And ultimately, I've actually worked on things that have gone into space. But this movie to me, or this sort of universe opened up to me. It made me think. It made me wonder. It made me look out and say, "Hey, look, maybe there is more to the universe. Maybe there is something that says, hey, we could get out there and we could." Go into outer space and we could we'd been to the moon by then, right? So that we've been to outer space, but not in the same way, right? It's not common practice. We don't just go down to the cantina and find a space freighter, right? So can we advance that technology to the point where it becomes commonplace and easy for a guy and his Wookiee pal to go take you into space? And more importantly, is there life out there? And can we actually travel faster than light? Those kinds of questions, it brings those up and hopefully makes people sort of think, hey, maybe I'd like to try to be part of figuring out how to make this stuff work for real. And that led me to a career that I know and absolutely love. So, it one of the fun things about great fiction to me is it does make you think, it does make you wonder, it does make you ask questions. And at least the first three movies were very much like that, at least for me. After that, it was there's been some hit or miss, and now that Disney's involved, there's a ton of stuff out there. I've enjoyed a lot of it, some of it, not as much, but those first three movies, episode four, five, and six, for me, were sort of things that I will carry a soft spot for forever. And I think probably some of the best stuff that has happened in the Star Wars universe. And I know there's going to be a lot of disagreement about that. People are going to say, "Oh no, it's this part, it's this part, it's this part." That's great, but for me, those first three movies, episode four, five, and six, were really the part that endeared that universe to me anyway, and made it something I think about often and do occasionally go back and watch with my kids or just put on, just because, so, well, it's Saturday. What am I going to do? I think, oh, yeah, let's throw on Star Wars, see what happens. Or I'll, be working on something else or folding clothes and Star Wars is on in the background. It's just one of those movies for me. So on May the 4th, I hope everybody just kind of lets the, hey, what's canon, not canon discussions go. Disney owns it. Yes, I know we can disagree with what Disney does with it, but let that go today. It's May the 4th. Everybody just enjoy Star Wars for the day, and May the 4th be with you. Have a great one.